Hello, and welcome to Back Through the Lens, where two film school friends talk about movies through the haze of nostalgia. The good, the bad, and the ones that aren't quite how we remember them. I'm your host, Rachel, and with me is my co-host, Joe. Today's movie is Ladyhawke.
It's mid-April in the year 1985. Wayne Gretzky is giving an historic performance with the Edmonton Oilers during the Stanley Cup playoffs. Billy Ocean's Loverboy is number one on the charts. We Are the World by USA for Africa and Everybody Wants to Rule the World by Tears for Fears are also big hits. At the theaters, Police Academy 2, their first assignment, is at top of the box office. Other popular movies include The Breakfast Club, Mask, and the Care Bears movie. In this season, we celebrate films that turn 40 in 2025, the same year we hit that milestone.
I remember the Care Bears movie.
I remembered the Care Bears vaguely as an animated series, but I don't know if I remember the movie.
I rented it a lot at the video store when I was a kid. That was one I picked out a lot.
Nice.
Yep. So the movie we are going to talk about today was actually chosen by our audience. We put a poll out on our Instagram. Ladyhawke received the most votes.
I feel like I'm surprised. I don't know why.
So I was not too familiar with 3 of the 4 choices, including this one. So I didn't know what to expect. I still don't really know what I think having watched this for the first time.
Whoa.
I am glad that it was chosen because I probably would have never thought of this movie, found this movie otherwise. This was so 80s.
Oh yeah.
And I'm so glad that we get to talk about it in the 1985 season. What were our other options besides Ladyhawke? It was Commando, The Black
Witness,
Cauldron, and Witness.
And The Black Cauldron, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I didn't really know what I thought would win. I feel like I did not expect this one, but I think just because I had never even heard of it, so I was like, what's that? No one's going to pick that. Surprise.
I kind of thought that too. I honestly thought Commando would be the winner just because it's probably the most recognized of the 4.
Mm.
And also super 80s.
Yeah, it is.
But I was pleasantly surprised with this one. I was kind of pulling for this one in my heart. I don't know why. I think because I haven't seen it in a while and I definitely wanted to revisit. And revisit I did.
Yeah. I just figured anything would be I had seen The Black Cauldron, but ages ago. I don't remember a lot about it. So I figured anything that was chosen was going to be pretty much I don't know, some sort of new adventure for me into mid-80s cinema.
Yeah.
And it was.
And there were so many other movies that year, and doing my very mild research, I was mad that the same day this comes out, Stephen King's Cat's Eye was also released, and that fell under the radar for me because I definitely would have at least suggested it for the poll. I don't know why I didn't catch it the first discussion of this season. Maybe I was just looking up top 20 or something like that. I don't fully remember, but let's do a shout out to a movie we're not going to do this season.
I'm actually not familiar with that one either.
It's like a little anthology movie. There's 3 short stories that they adapt into this movie.
Okay. There are so many Stephen King stories. I think before I started talking about movies with you so much, I was like, yeah, The Shining and Misery and Carrie. Maybe
3,
some
yes.
others. Yeah, I know. There's so many.
Maybe some others. Well, they're not all great. Let's just put it that way.
Sure. Yeah.
Anyways, not Stephen King podcast time. That's next season, maybe.
Oh, jeez. Okay. I'll never sleep again. It's fine. Okay. I'll introduce our movie then. It is Ladyhawke, directed by Richard Donner, released April 12th, 1985, rated PG-13.
Philippe the Mouse Gaston, who is a thief, he escapes the dungeons of Aquila, only to almost get caught all over again. However, mysterious Navarre, who is also wanted by the bishop's guards, saves Philippe and in turn enlists him to assist him and his hawk, Isabeau. Throughout their travels and their quest, Philippe learns the curse that separates the two. Hawk by day, wolf at night, always together, eternally apart.
So I went into this movie completely blind.
Yes.
So you can assume, like, yeah, I had no idea what this movie was. I knew Michelle Pfeiffer was in it. That was about it.
Good start.
I figured from the title that maybe she had a hawk. I did not I did not guess that she was a hawk.
Yeah. Plot twist right from the rip.
Right. Well, because the posters that I saw when I was, posting the choices for people to vote, or her face is on the poster. It's not like a hawk.
Mm-hmm.
And I had also, if anyone has seen or read Hamnet, I had just finished reading that, and Shakespeare's wife always has a hawk with her. That's like, she's a very accomplished, I don't know what the word is for it, but
Falconer?
falconer, sure, but hawks, I don't know. But that's one of the reasons why the town thinks she's weird. I read Hamnet, I haven't seen the movie, so I kept imagining that character of Shakespeare's wife from Hamnet with her, I think it might be a crestle, however you say that. I know nothing about birds. Just she had a hawk, whatever. I kept imagining her with it like walking around with it perched
Yeah.
on her arm, and so this is just what I thought I was getting into.
If only.
If only. No, this was so much better than I ever
Yeah.
could have expected.
Hell
This,
yeah.
this is great.
So not my first watch, but I don't think I've hit double digits with this movie. I remember watching it, I don't know, late elementary, early middle school. I don't remember if we rented it either a couple times or we just owned it on VHS randomly, maybe got it from like the dollar bin or something. But definitely remember watching it in my mom's apartment a couple times. And just, I don't know, it's a tale of fantasy. And as a kid, it
Hmm.
was very entertaining. I don't want to
Yeah.
say it was like My Lord of the Rings back then, but like it was, besides Star Wars, we didn't have anything kind of with those elements in it that was not animated, I guess. And that part attracted me, but I didn't remember a lot of the second part of the movie.
I mean, I get what you're saying about it being sort of a fantasy epic for your age range.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, I get it. I wanted to point out before we get into this discussion, apparently Richard Donner directed Superman 1 and 2, the Lethal Weapon movies, The Omen, and The Goonies.
Hmm.
I didn't realize. I did not recognize his name, I guess.
I also didn't recognize his name and looked him up and was like, "What? What?
Yeah.
Excuse me, sir? What is going on here?" Then I
Okay.
saw the Goonies, and I just kind of stopped looking and just like kind of scrolled quickly, and just kept seeing Mel Gibson's face on posters. So I guess him and Mel Gibson hooked up a lot and made action movies.
Aren't we talking about The Goonies later this season?
Yeah,
Yeah. He had quite a year
right.
in 1985. It's great. Good for
And
him.
didn't recognize his name, so whoops. Sorry, Richard.
Okay. Well, now that we've learned a little bit about Richard Donner, we'll learn some more later. But our pre production starts with a script written by Edward Kamara. He said he came up with the basic story of the wolf and the hawk and, turning into the animals at different times while he was jogging on the roof of the Hollywood YMCA. I think the point was supposed to be he was up on the roof and maybe it was sunset or sunrise. I don't know. So, this is important because we will see later there was some inventive history that came from Warner Brothers trying to market this movie. But Edward Kamara, he claimed that the character of Philippe is based on a French poet named Francois Villon. He was a poet who also had a criminal history. I learned a lot about this man's life. It kind of sounds like he just kept getting into trouble. And then while he was on the run, he wrote some poetry. And he's still known because it's one of the only surviving records of poetry from the Middle Ages, because we're talking about 1400s France.
Yeah,
It's funny because it sounds like maybe it's not so much that he was a good poet. His
it's
stuff
just
is
that he
just
existed.
his stuff survived. I don't know. But I'm going to get into some of the history a little bit because you can see where our screenwriter pulled some things from his story. So, Philippe, based on Francois Villon, in 1455, he got into a fight which resulted in a man's death. This is how it was described when I looked into this fight. He was hanging out in the Latin Quarter of Paris with a priest and a girl named Isabeau.
Okay.
Okay. Got into an argument with another man who was also hanging out with a priest. Why? I
So,
don't know.
two different priests hanging out with two different men, and the two men got into a fight.
Yeah. So what
Okay.
ended up happening was the second priest. I feel like this is a setup to a really bad joke. The second
Yeah.
priest that was with the other man died from his injuries after getting into a physical altercation with Francois. This other priest was apparently named Philippe.
Oh my god.
So Philippe, second priest, supposedly drew first blood after threatening Francois. Later died. Francois was originally banished from Paris, but later pardoned by King Charles VII because two witnesses claimed that Philippe the priest forgave Francois before he died.
Well, as you do as a priest.
I guess. I guess. Okay. Brings us to Christmas 1456. 500 gold crowns were stolen from the chapel in the College of Navarre.
Okay.
So there's our other character name.
Uh
Uh,
huh.
this is one of the colleges that made up the University of Paris. It took months for the theft to even be discovered, and then even more time for the authorities to track down what the internet called a gang of student robbers. And I don't know how many of these people were actually involved, how much of this is actually true, but they basically, someone decided to start naming names and said that Francois was the ringleader of the gang that stole these 500 crowns. He was convicted, I think, without even being there in person, and was again sentenced to banishment. He never returned to Paris. It is believed that he joined a roaming group of thieves, for the rest of his days, but while also writing poetry, like you do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, but that brings us to the summer of 1461, where Francois was imprisoned in the bishop's prison. I am going to butcher this name. Myung sur Loire? Lori? I don't know.
Loire?
I don't know. But he was imprisoned in a bishop's prison. For some reason, King Louis XI, on his way to his coronation, decided to pardon everyone in this bishop's prison. I don't know why this one. I don't know if it was just like something that he decided to do as part of coronation celebrations, whatever.
He was in a good
So
mood that day.
he was in, yeah. So Francois was pardoned. And in the original draft of the Ladyhawke screenplay, this is actually how the character of Philippe leaves prison. He doesn't escape, he's pardoned by King Louis. But while he was in this prison, he wrote his most famous work, a collection of poems called Le Testament. And he talks a
Hmm.
lot, basically, about how shitty it all is. I read a very brief part of it that rhymed something with dung. I think he was trying to say there was a lot of dung he was sitting in the prison. I was like, okay. I mean,
Beautiful poetry.
I guess I don't know what else you have to write about, but I feel like this is also bolstering my theory that he is not so much, one of the great poets of this time period, just one whose works happen to survive. but he apparently writes a lot about boredom, the passage of time, also the knowledge hovering over him that death by hanging could happen at any moment, much like the movie.
Yeah.
Yep. I believe at this point when he's in prison, they don't actually know what crime he committed, but the historical record doesn't know. I assume the people running the prison knew, but like who knows?
Okay.
They seem to be pretty freewheeling with their law and order here at this point.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's pretty much all the French history we need to know for this story. But again, like I said, it is important that we discuss this as based on a real person because the marketing department pretty much made up their own story for Ladyhawke promotion.
So, if I may, if I'm
Yes.
digesting this properly,
Yes.
I'm going to shorten this. Our screenwriter, this
Hmm.
Edward Kamara, it seems like he was just sitting on a college paper he wrote from, about 14th century France, and this little thief,
Yeah.
but also like maybe recently watched Star Wars, and it seems like the priest Philippe shot first, and then he goes on a run, a
Yep.
Kessel run maybe, and in the meantime he writes poetry. How do you not notice 500 gold crowns are stolen though? Like that's the part. Like it's a lot of gold crowns.
I kept rereading this to be like, was a crown a form of currency? Because I didn't understand.
I will
Um,
buy that cow for 2 crowns, please.
I the only thing I could think of is maybe they were locked away somewhere in the church and it's not like you're just, I don't know, using them all the time. I don't know. I recently
Yeah.
read an account of relics that were stolen from churches in Florence and they wouldn't notice they were gone until it was time to do like to have some sort of
Inventory?
holiday or kind of honestly like they were going to do they were going to parade through the streets with the relics and then they were like, oh no, it's gone, so the thief could
Ah,
get away with it for a while because you didn't like pull that out every time you had mass or whatever. So
sure.
I assume that's what
Okay.
happened there.
Okay.
It's so funny when this turns into a history podcast. Hope you all learned something today because I sure did.
I sure did.
Yep. Okay. Lauren Schuler, who is one of the producers, I believe she's the main producer if you look at how the credits credit her. She somehow got the script to Richard Donner. Fun fact, they would later get married because of them meeting on this movie, which also plays a role in some decision making on Richard Donner's part, particularly the score.
Mm.
Yes. They started prepping the movie back in 1981 in former Czechoslovakia. From what I understand, they really liked the locations. There were lots of old castles they could use, but without them going into too much detail, they found it too difficult to film there because it was still under Soviet control and there were just too many regulations. There was a lot of back and forth for a while. Somehow in 1983, they ended up settling on Italy as a filming location. And the way Lauren Schuler put it, she and the screenwriters met to start prepping in Rome. There were two other screenwriters that joined Edward Kamara at this point that were just running drafts of the script. One of those people, however, is Tom Mankiewicz, which, if people are not familiar, that is a very famous family. That's a very famous last name in Hollywood.
Oh.
Tom Mankiewicz, I will be honest with you, I don't know if he's mostly credited as a screenwriter or what his role in movies mainly was. He's also credited as a creative consultant for Ladyhawke, and it kind of sounds like he was always calling people he knew to get actors cast. I feel like he was just doing a little bit of everything, and he had the Mankiewicz name, which we'll get to in a second. But for people who are not familiar, Tom Mankiewicz's father is Joseph Mankiewicz. He was a producer and director. maybe most famous for directing The Lady Eve, for which he won an Academy Award, produced the Philadelphia Story. Tom is the nephew of Herman Mankiewicz, who wrote Citizen Kane. If you've ever seen the movie Mank on Netflix, that's who that is about. And Tom is the cousin of Ben Mankiewicz, who you know if you've watched a lot of Turner Classic Movies because he is a host on there.
Got it.
Okay. Brief Hollywood history for everyone today.
Yeah.
Okay. So, casting. Kurt Russell was originally cast as Navarre. And when I say he was originally cast, I mean he was in Italy. He was, doing tests. He was getting his costumes together. He was in it. There are conflicting reports about why he left. And this is unfortunately going to be a theme with some of the research for this movie in particular, because I can find interviews with Kurt Russell or Richard Donner or Lauren Schuler that all say the same thing, or I'm sorry, that all say different things. Tom Mankiewicz also wrote an autobiography, which some was posted online. I was able to pull some quotes from that. He also sometimes has different stories. So Kurt Russell, according to Tom Mankiewicz, partially left because he was basically lovesick and missed Goldie Hawn too much. It was toward the beginning of their relationship. He thought he was just going to be in Italy for a couple weeks, and it was turning into months, and they hadn't even started filming, and they were looking at maybe 8 months total in Italy. And according to Tom Mankiewicz, he just could not be away from Goldie for that long. However, he also claimed that Kurt Russell was being a little difficult about the costumes. He said, I'm sorry, Kurt Russell said this one. When I got there, I see wardrobe and the character has to wear tights. I don't wear tights. That's not for me.
All right.
Tom Mankiewicz said that Kurt Russell was irritated about wearing a helmet. His quote from his book is, one day he said, I don't want to have that helmet. I don't like a helmet. I don't look good in a helmet. He went on to claim that when Donner insisted Russell wear a helmet, the actors said Kirk Douglas would never wear one. Donner retorted that Douglas had worn one before in Paths of Glory, and, quote, it looked great.
Well, there you go.
Kurt Russell also said in interviews that he had to eventually abandon the part because production kept getting held up by strikes, and he wasn't too clear on what what he meant by that. Strikes in Italy, strikes in the film industry. What people think he might have been referring to is that there was both a Writers Guild strike and a SAG-AFTRA strike in the early 80s, SAG being the Actors Guild. So if they are striking, then yes, no one would have been working. And he probably would have just been hanging out in Italy, I guess, waiting for production to start up again instead of spending the money to fly him back and forth.
Right.
Which would then make him, be away from Goldie Hawn for longer. So
could explain the 8 months right there.
Exactly.
Hmm.
So, also conflicting reports on how Rutger Hauer came to be cast as Navarre. Kurt Russell claimed that he passed along Rutger Hauer's name. Tom Mankiewicz and Richard Donner both said that Rutger Hauer had originally been asked to play the bishop. Rutger Hauer turned it down because he was coming off of Blade Runner and didn't want to be typecast as a villain, especially just doing American movies always as the villain. So for Richard Donner, he thought this was a no-brainer. I'll see if he wants to play Navarre, because he was interested. If that role ever opens up, I would love to do something like that. So he says yes immediately. From what I understand, he was living in Amsterdam and he drove his mobile home from Amsterdam to Italy.
Oh, nice.
And apparently it took a really long time because you're not allowed to drive mobile homes through Switzerland, or at least at the time there was a law that they wouldn't let mobile homes enter Switzerland. So he had to go around.
That was such a big deal.
Apparently the shortest route is to go through Switzerland, but he had to go around it. So
right, because in the mid 80s there's so many mobile homes being driven through Switzerland.
I don't know if it's because of the mountains they felt it was too risky.
Sure.
I don't know. So much of the history of this movie is just who knows who's telling the truth. I don't know. It seemed like Michelle Pfeiffer was cast pretty early on. Even when Kurt Russell was going to be playing Navarre, she was already set to be Isabeau. Her audition tape, which she made herself, featured, again, according to who's telling this story, either a parakeet or a canary in a cage. And she said, well, Isabeau is a hawk for half of this movie, so this is what I would look like as a bird. And anytime the bird would open its mouth, she would just do a voice off camera saying, oh, I just love to be in this picture. Um, and apparently Richard Donner thought this was so hilarious that he immediately was like, yes, I want her. According to Lauren Schuler, the main producer, there were some bits of her actually reading lines with her on camera. Her unknown actor friend Kevin Costner helped her by reading the lines for Philippe.
Oh, yeah, I've never heard of that guy before.
Yep. And to be clear, I'm not being facetious. He was an unknown actor at the time. Okay.
I could
So
I could see him as Navarre.
I could, yeah.
Kurt Russell's being difficult. Let's get this other guy that's on camera with Michelle. He looks like he'd be about the same, physical shape and size. And do those tights fit him? Put him on.
Will he wear a helmet? Sure.
He's unknown. Fuck it. You
Yep.
don't have to see his face.
Okay, so Philippe, both Sean Penn and Dustin Hoffman were offered the role. From what I
Hmm.
understand, I think it was Richard Donner who was like, Sean Penn's this hot, young, up and coming actor. I want to get him. So, Tom Mankiewicz, this is where I'm talking about him maybe being kind of an all encompassing, getting things done, not just a screenwriter. He contacted Sean Penn's agent and was like, okay, bring him in for an audition. And he said, I can't. He's on location. I think it was Northern California, and he's in character. He's playing a spy, and spies don't have phones, according to Sean Penn. So I don't know like when I'll be able to discuss this with him.
Oh
And
my.
Tom Mankiewicz is like, well, what do you mean? You're just like not in contact with him right now? And the agent said something like, well, he calls me from a payphone every Friday, but he does it in character. So I won't really know if he wants to send in a tape for this movie because it won't be Sean Penn I'm talking to, it'll be this spy character. And the agent said something like, well, he's a spy. And Tom Mankiewicz said, sorry, I was under the impression that he was an actor, and hung up. And then he
Nice.
called Richard Donner and said, you don't want to deal with this, trust me.
No, that sounds like a lot.
Hmm. Okay. I think it's this movie called The Falcon and the Snowman. He is, I think he was the male lead along with Timothy Hutton. And he plays the true story of a disillusioned military contractor employee and his drug pusher childhood friend who become walk in spies for the Soviet Union.
I like the plot I had in my head better when you said the Falcon and the Snowman because of thinking about this movie. So I'm thinking like Sean Penn's Snowman by night and his buddies Hawk by day, and they can never hang out together anymore.
Okay. I did not make that connection that there were birds in both of these titles, though. That's fair. Um,
Uh,
okay. Moving on. Dustin Hoffman, again, Tom Mankiewicz said that he spoke to Sidney Pollack, who had directed Dustin Hoffman in Tootsie, spoke to John Schlesinger, who had directed him in Marathon Man. Both directors said they would never ever work with him again.
oh my.
And that did give him some pause, but apparently they pushed on. And Dustin Hoffman was like, yeah, I'll do this role. That's fine. But I don't want to shoot in Italy. And I want to do the character with a French accent. And possibly there were more demands. Possibly that's why this did not end up working out. I really couldn't find any explanation as to why. But he had a lot of things he wanted to change.
Sure.
He also claimed that if they shot in Italy, someone would kidnap him.
Oh my.
And they were like, okay, we'll give you a bodyguard, I guess, but no one's going to kidnap you.
What is going on in 1985?
I don't know. Finally, producers tried to get Mick Jagger to play the bishop.
No,
Could you imagine?
I cannot.
Okay. Again, according to who you're listening to, either Fox wouldn't let them hire Mick Jagger or he was too busy with commitments to the Rolling Stones. Someone who had given that as a reason said like other productions had tried to cast him before and it was the same thing. He couldn't get out of all the commitments he had to the band. I don't know why Matthew Broderick ended up getting the part of Philippe. I think they just saw him maybe how they saw Sean Penn, young up and coming
Yeah,
actor.
yeah, because
Yeah.
he had just did War Games,
Uh-huh.
so it was like the in between movie between that and Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Yeah, and that's so funny to me because I immediately was getting Ferris Bueller vibes, the way that Philippe is talking to the camera. Again, having never seen this, I could have totally seen a situation where he was cast in this based on Ferris Bueller.
I'm sorry, I'm still trying to think of Mick Jagger as the bishop.
Yeah, I was rewatching a few scenes after doing the research and I just suddenly there was a scene with the bishop and I was like, what if this was Mick Jagger? Like just bizarre.
It's, I mean, he's an important character because he does the curse,
Right.
but as far as screen time goes, like they just talk about him a
He
lot, and he walks through some
yes.
gardens and then stands in a church. I don't know, like, like
Yeah. So our casting is settled somehow. We don't really know how it gets settled. We just know all the things that could have been. Which brings us to the score. It's very controversial. Even before I knew how controversial it was, a lot of my notes were, what is this music? What is this score? So I'm glad I'm not the only one who
I
had these thoughts.
no, I didn't put a lot of notes down about the music because I figured I was going to talk about it at some point.
Hmm.
I didn't know there was controversy, so please do tell.
Okay. So it might surprise you to hear that before this, Richard Donner was known for choosing great composers to fit his various projects. I guess the one that sticks out to me the most is The Omen, that obviously had a really memorable score. He
I
had
was just
made
thinking
the,
that.
yeah, so he had made The Omen at this point, also the Superman movies,
Hmm.
and then beyond Ladyhawke. Everything I read about him also cited Lethal Weapon and The Goonies, but I know The Goonies is after.
Yeah, not by much.
At least at this point, he still had this reputation of working with great composers. He decided to hire this British prog rock duo named the Alan Parsons Project to score Ladyhawke. To be a little fair to him, rock bands scoring films were becoming a trend. Queen did Flash Gordon, Toto with Dune, and they were mostly seen as successful or at the very least being kind of a fresh, trendy thing. So I feel like he had some good intentions, maybe, based on what was going on around him. The other issue, though, is that he had apparently spent the entire shoot listening to the Alan Parsons Project. Tom Mankiewicz's book claims that he related this music to falling in love with Lauren Schuler on set, who he would later marry. And, he just related
Hmm.
this band's music to their romance. Like I said, they obviously got married later. I forgot to note that Lauren is also a Cleveland native.
Yay! All
Yes.
right.
So, to Richard Donner, he assumed this score would make a period epic more accessible to a mainstream audience.
Hmm.
I guess I don't know why a fantasy film couldn't just be accessible. I don't know. But having this like modern band do the music, he thought this was important. We'll get into a little more later, but most of the poor reviews the movie received seem to focus a lot on the score. Yeah. Tom Mankiewicz said, if ever there was a picture that cried out for Jerry Goldsmith, this was it. Jerry Goldsmith having done the score for The Omen, also did Gremlins. Just thought I'd put that in there. Also, according to Tom Mankiewicz, he was giving Steven Spielberg notes on the Gremlins script, and Steven Spielberg was telling him things like, "Oh, I'll just say they're from me because Joe Dante's very sensitive, but if these notes come from me, he'll feel better about it."
That's an interesting approach.
Yes. I'm just very I I don't know how I feel about Steven Spielberg anymore as like a coworker or like a creative partner.
Um, yeah, he's at first it seemed impressively hands-on and did everything,
Mhm.
and then it seems, at least for some of the conversations, a bit micromanaging. And I don't know,
Mhm.
like you said, like as a creative, brilliant.
Mhm.
Coworker, maybe punch him in the face. I don't know.
Yeah. If you're confused at all about what we're talking about, listen to our episode on Poltergeist.
Yeah.
So anyway, our movie is set for better or worse.
Can I just play the
Yeah.
Ladyhawke score as we talk, like so everyone can hear it?
Sure, yeah. Go for it.
Are we gonna get sued
No,
by
cuz
Alan Parsons Project?
we're we are discussing it. We're providing cultural commentary.
All right. To be fair, this part doesn't sound bad.
No, this isn't even the worst of it.
Where's the '80s shit at? This is the beginning.
When it really swells and the hawk comes on screen.
All right. I will say the fight scenes had good music.
Did they?
It wasn't like synthy '80s. Like,
Okay, okay, yes.
oh, here we go. So, picture this, guys. Castle in the background, open field. Everyone's wearing tunics and tights, and you hear this. There we go.
That's it.
Nothing says medieval Italy like this.
Or France, I think.
Wherever they were, I don't know. All right, it's enough of that. It's not a bad bop, as the kids would say, but definitely takes you out of the elements of this setting for sure.
Yes, I feel like that was Richard Donner's blind spot where he's thinking it would be appealing to a modern audience. It really just didn't work with their setting.
No, in fact, I feel like the only time the music seemed appropriate was, I'm going to jump way ahead here, but the scene where Isabeau is changing in the stable and Philippe is waiting for her on the outside, and they're by an inn, and there is atmosphere music. There is a band playing, and it's
Okay.
like a minstrel band. I was like,
Oh, mhm.
finally, appropriate music. And then that comes back in. Bam, bam, bam,
I know.
and you're like, oh, okay, well, we lost it.
There were notes that I saw about the Gregorian chants in the movie, and I feel like those were only in scenes where they would have made sense
Yeah, I'm not even clocking
because
those. Wow.
right, I think we only heard those when we were back in the church or, back where the bishop would be. The reviews I read kept talking about this synth soundtrack mixed with Gregorian chants. And I don't feel like that's literally what happened. They were just, like you said, with the minstrel music, there were just some scenes where the music made sense for the time or the setting.
Yeah.
You also had this synth soundtrack.
Yeah. And a lot of times that was literally happening during like wide shots where you see the scenery, they're traveling. It was just like I was watching two movies at the same time, or listening to one and watching another.
Well, let's get into this because immediately from the opening credits, I was like, what kind of 80s roller coaster am I getting on right now?
Oh, strap in and
Yep.
hold on tight.
Yep.
Now, at first, I was again, I've seen this, but I the memory bank is very shallow here.
Hmm.
And we get this like opening shot. There's a bright yellow sun and orange sky. For some reason, gave me like feudal Japan samurai vibes. I don't know. I
I
don't know.
get it.
And then we don't see the word Ladyhawke, but you can see like there's cutouts and it's moving across the screen in different shapes. And I'm just assuming it's going to say the word Ladyhawke. And as a letter goes over the sun, it turns into the moon and the night sky. And it's kind of kicking in that theme, day and night.
Yes.
And then the 80s music kicks in. And I was like, oh, here we go. I didn't remember anything about this music, anything about the score. And right away, it's been 30 seconds. I'm like, here we go.
Yeah.
This is 80s.
Yep.
This is so 80s right now.
Yeah. I don't know if this is what you're talking about exactly, but there's a part in the opening credits where the music really swells, and then you start seeing the actual hawk like flapping its wings in front of a big light. And yeah,
Yep.
that was also my moment of like, oh boy.
Yeah. Part of Mr. Alan Parsons' projects. Something about the score at the beginning gave me this. It reminded me of Super Smash Brothers for the Nintendo 64. I don't know what it is about it. Uh, I think it's just that like
Like the synthy
synthy,
sound.
very upbeat. I,
Yeah,
I, I pictured like a giant hand coming in and smacking the hawk or something.
in my notes, I have, again, this is before I did any of the research. I have the cheese factor is so high. Oh my God, the shot of a hawk flying, and now the music is worse. Oh, there's more hawk. I still don't know what this movie is about.
A hawk, obviously.
Yeah. It was funny though, because as I'm thinking about this, it's like the curse is the hawk and the wolf, but I don't know, this is just very much the hawk. I don't know.
I feel like two things. Maybe like Lady Hawk and Mr. Wolf would be too long of a title or sound too silly, like a Disney story.
Lady Hawk and Gentleman Wolf.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Also, it's the name Matthew Broderick gives the hawk,
Yes.
so I guess it sticks.
Yeah.
Maybe they wanted to just trick other people, much like yourself, where you think Michelle Pfeiffer is the Falconeer and she is Lady Hawk, and you're like, oh no, she is a hawk. Oh gosh, I'm so confused.
Like I said, the poster fooled me because she is a person on that poster.
She is a person. She is, yeah, yeah. And the hawk is in the poster too, so that's really confusing.
Okay.
I feel like Matthew Broderick's wearing like a modern day red hoodie. I don't know what's going on here.
On the poster?
Yeah,
Wait, let me
I
look.
think it's his little tunic, but it's very red and it just looks like a hoodie to me.
Let me look. Hold
Like I
on.
see strings and everything.
Lady Hawk poster. Yeah.
Sorry, just gonna play that randomly throughout this episode.
I actually, oh, there is a hawk on the poster. You're right. Yeah, I think this is maybe subconsciously why I didn't think it was like a medieval fantasy epic because
Yeah.
he definitely looks like he's just wearing modern streetwear.
Uh huh. Yeah.
The marketing for this movie. Okay, we'll get into that. We haven't even started the movie.
We did, and we got sidetracked because it just music blew us away.
But so we open into this street scene where it sounds like they're just very casually hanging groups of prisoners at random.
Hmm.
I like how you can immediately tell the bishop is the bad guy because you hear a hanging and the bishop kind of turns around, obviously doesn't care about it. Someone, I think it was Tom Mankiewicz, took credit for naming the town Aquila because it means eagle in French, apparently.
Mm,
And he was like, that fits.
sure. Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah.
Why not? He couldn't have figured out what the word for hawk is in French.
There's so many things going on.
There are so many things
um,
going on.
so yeah, they hang some people. Bishop's bad,
Mm-hmm.
and they're looking for who we only know as the mouse at this point,
Yes, yeah.
and they ask what I assume is his cellmate, where is the mouse? And the cellmate's kind of crazy sounding, like he doesn't seem he's all there,
Right.
and he's saying that he went down the drain, and this is a very small grate, obviously. And if you haven't seen this before, I don't know, did you think he actually meant like a mouse?
I thought
Like it's
maybe he was called the mouse because he was sort of a burglar who could, I
mm,
don't know, creep around, fit
yeah,
into small places. I didn't really know where we were going with the mouse name.
yeah, same. But it turns out that the crazy guy was telling the truth. I don't know why authority figures don't believe the crazy people in movies,
Right.
but Matthew Broderick does escape down the drain.
Mm-hmm. And our introduction to him on screen in this movie is him crawling out of a hole in the wall that's covered in mud. And you can take up the quote if you would like, because it's your note.
Yeah, yeah. Our introduction to him is just like his arm like jutting out of
Hmm.
some mud, like you said, and then the other one he pushes his head through. The first line we get from Mr. Mouse is, "It's not unlike escaping mother's womb." God, what a memory! What?
Yeah. I was like, oh, that's gross. And immediately, again, was, what am I in for? What is this movie?
Hmm. And he's looking like right at the camera, like you said.
Yes. Hmm.
Interesting.
Yep.
So that's this like evil priest bishop guy. I feel like he has some funny lines, but I don't think they were supposed to be funny. I just laughed at them because the '80s
Hmm.
of it all.
Yeah.
Some of his guards are running to him and saying, "We can't find the mouse. He has escaped." And the bishop says, "People do not escape our dungeons. The people in the city accept this as historical fact."
Hmm.
And he just says it so deadpan. I was like, okay. I mean, sure, we're not
Right.
gonna. I'm assuming what it means is we're not gonna let them know. Like, we don't want people to know we can escape our prisons
Right.
because that's bad for business.
Hmm.
I don't know. It made me laugh. But then later, when they couldn't find him, they just apparently just disappeared. It's like, oh, something is like a miracle, blah 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 blah. And the priest responds, he's like, "I do believe in miracles. It's sort of my job."
Yeah.
I think maybe that was supposed to be funny, like in real, like it was maybe written that way, but it's not delivered that way. I still laugh though because of I kind of think the stupidity of it.
Yeah, he has a very dry delivery for all his lines. Yeah, I wasn't sure what I thought of his character sometimes or what I was supposed to be thinking because, like you said, he
Right.
has these quips that are legitimately funny, but he delivers his lines pretty much the same way in every scene.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess aside from us knowing that he was in love with Isabeau, it's kind of confusing as to what he's doing to this town because he makes comments about he keeps raising the taxes and everyone
Mm-hmm.
hates it, but like they're just gonna have to deal with it or something where he's like surprised people aren't happy. But then
Right.
it seems like some other character, maybe it's the drunk monk, says that he had a falling out with Rome. So is he even a functioning parish anymore? I'm just
A lot of questions.
I don't know. I feel like this guy's just running this town, but also happened to fall in love with Isabeau at some point and got mad about that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's all
But
right.
yes, if you're wondering, Matthew Broderick, aka the Mouse, he definitely pulled an Andy Dufresne from Shawshank, and he escaped through the shitter system.
Yep. My first thought of him when he actually gets out of the sewer system is that he's really taking a lot of chances because he steals stuff right off of a guard. But I did enjoy his pleading with God constantly about, if you just let
Yeah.
me make it out of here, it'll be fine. I'll be such a good person. And then he has to steal food and clothes because he's out now. And what else is he going to do? And
Mm-hmm.
he says, you know what a weak willed person I am. But I did very much enjoy him. His narration of the story, but also the talking to God stuff, the back and forth of I swear I'll be so good, but also, gotta do what you gotta do. There was this bit where you see him leaving the town and he's walking down a road and it's like very obviously fall. And then he's walking through these mountains and it's cold and it's snowy. And I thought, okay, well, maybe it's just a change in altitude. But then the next shot after that, it looks like spring because you don't have all these orange fall leaves anymore. It's all green. So at first, I wasn't sure if I was supposed to think that all this time had passed or if it was just a change in altitude. But that really messed me up until I understood where we were with things.
Yeah, you know what? I didn't even think about that. I think I was just jamming out to the music, honestly.
I don't think I would have thought about it that hard, except that it was very much a fall scene. Like I said, the leaves
Yeah,
were orange covering this road, and then on the other side of the snow, everything was very green.
yeah,
And I really wasn't sure if it was supposed to be just it was just a change in altitude, I assume, but it looked like all this time had passed, like he was
right. It
running through
does.
different
Yes.
seasons.
Hmm.
Maybe think about that instead of your synth score. Think about
Richard.
where you're, yeah, think about the story you're telling, Richard. Think about the
He.
visual clues that you're leaving people.
Well, yes. Well, during his change in altitude, or maybe his 8 month walk, who knows?
Right?
He gets to like in modern times it'd be like a food truck. That's what it felt like to me. He goes to a food truck park, but like 14th century France or something. But there's like a little like bar with some benches and even a trestle that I even made the joke to my wife, like, is he at a brewery? Because this looks like
Yeah,
a like hot vines that's hanging out.
right.
But he does steal some stuff and he has some money and he wants to buy himself an ale and an ale to anyone that wants to celebrate with him because he escaped Aquila and he's boasting about it. And guess who's drinking at the pub?
Right.
The guard's looking for him. What an idiot.
That is something I made note of later on. I know that he's really good at running right into the guards, despite
Mm-hmm.
him being, this great escape artist or whatever, the only criminal to ever escape from that prison, which, Navarre says it's a sign because you're the only one to ever get out of there. But it's like, I don't know, he's really bad at staying out of there if he didn't have Navarre showing up all the time.
Yeah. Well, he's good at staying out. He's just bad at not getting caught.
I mean, yeah, because I'm just saying, in
Right.
theory, if Navarre
Oh, in theory.
isn't constantly showing up to save him, he would just be right back in there by now. I
Sorry.
forgot to make a point about Matthew Broderick said that when he was filming these scenes of number one, bursting out of the water after escaping prison, he spent literally 2 hours straight bursting from the water because they had to get the right shot. And then I think 2 days straight, he said, running in the snow. And he was freezing, like actually freezing, because for the close ups, they couldn't put like long sleeve and high neck things under his clothing because you could see it. In the long shots, you could, but there was an interview he gave where he was like, "Yeah, I haven't done too many movies, and this one's been really wet and cold, and I don't know about this, like as a career choice."
Well, they couldn't put the long sleeves under him for the long shots or the close ups, but they could put him in a red hoodie on the poster though. That's fine.
But yeah, so that being said, with him running right into these guards at the the brewery, the food truck park, but even before that, I think you pointed out he was like boasting about buying around for everyone. He's not being smart about any of this.
I'm
But
just thinking of the scene in Parks and Rec where he's like, "Don't be suspicious. Don't be suspicious."
yeah,
He's being super suspicious.
yes. This part where Navarre shows up kind of out of nowhere. We don't learn his whole backstory. We know he used to be captain of the guards, right?
Yep.
Because one of the guards, Francesco, is all excited to see him and is kind of like, oh, my captain. And then the current head of the guards pushes Francesco onto Navarre's sword and he dies.
Yeah, it's
And
pretty
I was
shitty.
like, oh, poor Francesco. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, just horrible. But
Yeah,
I get,
Navarre pulls his sword out. He knows the fight's about to happen, and like you said, he's having a talk, a chit chat, and they're like, "Hey, what's up, buddy? Whoa, maybe we can talk this out." And
yeah,
this dude just bum rushes him, like hits his own guard into Navarre's blade, like it
yes.
right through his sternum.
Yep. Yep.
That's. I mean, if we didn't know these guys were the bad guys, we
Yeah,
do
you
now.
have to drive it home. I understand. You had a point about what else he's fighting with in this scene.
At one point, they like kick his giant sword out of his hand, and he grabs a stick out of the fire. It is not on fire. It
Right.
is it is not smoldering. It's just warm and smoking. And he's just like he's waving it around like a kid with a sparkler on the 4th of July.
Yeah, gotta get that effect on
And I
camera.
was like, and then he's hitting people with it, and they're like, blah, and they're falling down. And I'm like, it's a stick. It's
It's
not a
just a
tree trunk.
stick. Yeah.
It's not a branch. It's
Yep.
smaller than the sword he was carrying. It was a
I
smoking
know.
stick.
I know.
Okay.
It was funny because you watched this before I did. And so I was trying to figure out, sometimes where to place my notes based on what scene you're talking about. And I saw
Yeah.
your note of like, what is this? Why is he fighting with a smoking stick? And I was like, what does that mean? And then literally I see it. I'm like, oh, it's very literally what it is.
Hmm.
Um, oh, because I'm like, what's a smoking stick? Yeah, and I wrote, well, you got to improvise. I don't know. So we get to this bit, sort of, not, I guess the fight's kind of over. Navarre runs away on his horse, picks up Philippe as Philippe tries to run away. And I wrote, this is the most 80s score that has ever existed. It's really the parts where they're like running away or riding across the countryside that the score really, I feel, is the most egregious. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Riding away on this horse, Philippe and Navarre. Also, at this point in the movie, I was like, is Matthew Broderick's name Philippe, Gaston, or the mouse? Because I didn't
Yes.
realize Gaston was his last name. And, like, to me, of course, growing up with Beauty and the Beast, I'm like, that's a
Hmm.
first name. But so I really wasn't sure. I was like, why does this man have three names? What do I call him? So Philippe and Navarre run away on this horse. This guard closes the flimsiest wooden gate I have ever seen, as if that's going to stop them. They make a big deal of jumping the horse over the gate, but really, you can tell when the guy closes it, it's so flimsy. They could have just rammed it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also, we see the hawk of our title.
Yes.
Hmm.
The hawk attacks the guards or the
Yes.
gatekeepers or whatever you want to call them.
Yep. I had a note that when Rutger Hauer finally made it to Rome in his mobile home, they took him out to lunch and they didn't tell him that the hawk trainer was standing across the street with the hawk. And they were just, everyone else knew this. And they told Rutger Hauer to lift his arm the way you would to call the hawk. The
Oh
hawk saw
God.
it. It immediately flew across the street into this restaurant and landed on his arm. And apparently he didn't really have that much trouble adapting to like being the one the hawks were taking cues from. I think there were two hawks. I can't remember their names, but one of them had their name changed in like 2000 to Ladyhawke, and I just thought that was a strange choice 15 years
Interesting.
later. I love how I learned all about Middle Ages French poetry, and then also like what was this hawk named?
Yeah. Oh goodness.
Lauren Schuler, our producer, said that unfortunately during filming, the hawk kept slapping Rutger Hauer in the face when he tried to deliver his lines. I think it thought it was being spoken to. And the horse that Navarre, sorry. It was not actually trained for filming, it was a dressage horse. And I feel like you
Hmm.
can really see this in certain takes, which I will point out. It's definitely prancing in certain
Oh, it's
scenes.
prancing. Oh
Yes.
yeah. It's probably
So,
why the guards kept catching up to them.
I know.
All right, Goliath, we gotta go. Clop, 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 clop. Faster, Goliath! God damn you!
Yeah, so Lauren Schuler said there were some takes, especially in the beginning, where you'd have this hawk slapping Rutger Hauer in the face while this horse was like walking, like shaking its butt from side to side because it was a show horse.
It's a sassy horse.
Yep. Although apparently Rutger Hauer grew up riding horses and was good enough that he was at like a competitive level. So
Jesus.
that was such a good get. Not only did they replace Kurt Russell really quickly, he already knew how to ride a horse. It was great.
Great with birds.
Yeah, apparently great with birds.
Part werewolf. This guy's perfect.
I know. So whatever, they get away. They
So whatever.
look, a lot of this movie is so whatever.
Ah. They get away.
But like
Just
they
like this episode got away from us.
usually I'm not like in tears like this soon into the movie description, but okay. They I don't know what you would call this. They enter like the home of this old couple who looks like they
Yeah.
just burn things.
So when you say entered the home, I get what you mean, but if you haven't seen Ladyhawke, they have like a camp. They have like an area of woods they call their
Well,
home,
it's
so to
like
speak,
their
like their
land or
property.
whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And they just like sashay in there and they're like, "Oh, can we stay in your barn?" And they don't like the looks of them for whatever reason. I don't know. Maybe they don't like the way the hawk is looking at him. Philippe literally like jingles his coin sack at him. He's like,
Yeah,
"We
like
got
we'll pay
monies."
you.
Yeah, and then he like the forest guy like pushes his wife to the house, like, "Get in there. We don't trust him. We got to go home." It was very weird. Oh no. All right, we're going solo for the rest of this movie. Rachel's incapacitated. Oh my god.
Okay, but my question is like what do these people like what do they
Rachel's question is, what do these people do for a living? Why do they live in the woods? Why are they just burning things?
Yes,
I,
yes.
I don't know. That is no answer. In all accounts, they look homeless. Their house is like a lean-to. It's like something you go camping under.
But there are all these like huts or
Mm-hmm.
like do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I've seen it.
Okay. 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 Anyway. So
Oh my god. You can't get past the homeless couple.
well, okay, I had a note here about the weapons, but I can't get past the idea of like what do these people do?
Oh, because
Because they
the
just
husband had like that giant axe.
well, okay, so they're riding through this land with like whatever huts on the land and fires. I just like don't understand what these people like are, what they do for a living. Like
What they are.
they
I
just like
think,
burn
the,
things.
yeah, the wife clearly makes the huts. The husband, with his axe, cuts the wood to burn in hopes that traveling vagabonds come and pay them silver coinage to sleep in their barn. That's how they make a living.
No, but they don't hope that because they're like, no, you can't stay here.
Until they mention the coinage.
But even then, they're like, they try to kill them later.
Yeah.
Okay,
Well,
whatever.
just maybe they wanted to steal all the other monies. I don't know, man.
Look,
We're spending way too much time on this very stupid
they're
couple.
just like the most, like the weirdest random characters. And I just don't, whatever. Anyway.
They only exist for the reveal of the wolf.
Okay,
At least the
yes,
husband.
yes, that's kind of what I was about to get at too. But anyway, now that I've like cried all my makeup off, my point was that when they show this husband approaching them with his axe, to me, this axe looked so fake. Like it literally looked like it could have been foam to me. And I thought the swords looked kind of fake in the scene where they were, fighting, the guards were fighting Navarre and everything. But apparently Rutger Hauer said everything was so realistic, at least the materials they were using, that he lost 20 pounds while filming because like the armor he had to wear was actually so heavy, the swords were heavy. So like, were they real? Am I the problem? Like, I don't know. I just thought the weapons looked so bad.
It could have been just how it was shot.
Maybe. Okay, so moving on from this poor couple, I wrote that this ended up not mattering, but when Navarre is kind of in his own quarters alone, he opens his bag and he takes out a purple fabric and he's like caressing it. And I was like, okay, I'm very curious to see what this purple fabric is that he carries around with him everywhere because it looks important. And then we never see it again until the very end. It actually had like nothing to do with it, so.
Very nice. Yeah.
But they make a point, like a close-up of him like getting it out of his bag.
I do remember that.
Yep. But he tells Matthew Broderick's character to like leave him alone when he's sleeping because he's easily startled and all this stuff.
I feel like at this point Philippe is like shooken up and he wants to leave.
Yes.
Right? And he says, I'm a young man, I've got prospects.
Yep.
And it's funny how he talks as like, besides the red hoodie, he talks very much like, he sounds like Ferris Bueller. Like just, not the fact it's the same actor, but the way his dialogue is written and delivered. It's weird.
Yes. No, he does. I thought the same thing. I found his lines really funny, like genuinely very funny, but it's impossible not to think of Ferris Bueller too. So when Philippe comes back from gathering wood, it's obviously dark already. The man of this like poor couple they've stumbled upon is creeping up behind him with his axe, right? Okay, this fake looking axe. And a wolf comes out and attacks the man, saves Philippe. I wrote in my notes, is this a werewolf movie?
I mean, you're not too far off.
I guess like, yeah, I wasn't like totally far off, but remember coming into this, I was like, there's a hawk and Michelle Pfeiffer, and that was like pretty much what I had. So not only was I not understanding that she is the hawk, I wasn't expecting him to turn into something too that was not a hawk.
So at this point, did you figure it out when you asked, is this a werewolf movie?
I did, especially because then you see her there in her human form in place of him. And he had already been warning Philippe, like, not to bother me when I'm sleeping or whatever, because it was just such a weird thing to say. I don't think I understood that it was, a curse put on two lovers, but I understood that she was the hawk and he was the wolf, but I wasn't sure where we were going with this still.
Fair enough.
Yep. I thought she was just like, I don't know, some magical creature and somehow he's a werewolf. I don't know. I don't know what I thought.
Yeah. Okay.
I wrote that the next scene when they're in the woods and Philippe is telling Navarre that he ran into this woman and Navarre is acting like he doesn't really know what he's talking about and oh, tell me about her. Did she have a name? Blah, blah, blah. And sometimes I see this woman in my dreams. And I wrote that he really sounds insane.
Mm-hmm.
But again, with him saying sometimes I see her in my dreams, I was still thinking she was somehow magic and like maybe it cursed him. I still wasn't quite there yet.
Yeah, there was something about this curse where I feel like they don't fully remember each other, but kind of do. It just seems like almost like a temporary amnesia when they wake up. Like, oh, here I am, and I'm naked, and what's going on? Where's my lover? And oh yeah, that's
Hmm.
right. This wolf is gonna walk with us.
So I was confused about that too because we'll get to it in a bit, but when Philippe learns the whole story, the drunk monk says something like they have a half consciousness or something.
Yeah,
And I was getting confused because I was like, well, when they're in an animal form, are they just an animal? Do they have any sense of knowledge that they're like also a person? But then I was confused too because it always seems like the other animal or the animal is always helping whoever's human at that point, like when they're being
yeah,
attacked. So they obviously have
protecting them.
some sense, right? They obviously have some sense of loyalty, even if they don't remember that they are a person. And to be fair, I wouldn't have thought about any of this that deeply if they hadn't said things like half consciousness or whatever during
Right.
the
Yeah.
explanation.
Sure. Yeah, which is weird because I mean, you can just have a pet hawk that would attack people for you.
Right. I mean, and that's what I thought at first before I realized Navarre could turn into a wolf was that this was just like a really well trained hawk.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess I thought Michelle Pfeiffer had trained it. I don't know.
Who who
She
knows?
gives
She's a
people like
canary.
she provides like hawk weapons for people.
After this all happens, we go back to Aquila, and they tell the bishop like, "Oh, we found the guy we're looking for, but we also found another guy that we've been looking for." And he's like, "Okay, well, let's go talk about it." And they go for a walkabout in the garden. And this happens a couple times, and it just
Yes.
reminds me of like Game of Thrones. They're always like plotting in some sort of open garden, and
Yeah.
it's
Because
weird.
it gives them something to do when they talk. They're not just
Mm-hmm.
static. But yeah, it's hard not to think of something like that now, especially.
I think it's the morning after, and Navarre is trying to convince Philippe not to leave, not to go on the rest of the quest, go back to Aquila,
Hmm.
Aquila, the town. And he is like, "Oh, I'm going to kill the bishop. It is my destiny from God."
Hmm.
And Philippe says, "I
Oh
talk to
yeah.
God all the time, and no offense, he never mentioned you." Again, so
Yeah.
very like Bueller in delivery.
Yes, it is.
And then there's more traveling scenes, and there's a moment I turned to my wife. I said, "The fuck's going on with this movie? Is something wrong here?" She's like, "I think it might be a filter." I was like, "Yeah, but is it?" Like at night, very much blue filter.
Yeah.
Sunset, some was golden hour, magic hour, some like definitely orange filter.
Yeah, the
This
orange at the
in
top of the shots.
Yeah,
Yeah, I thought there
the,
was something wrong with the transfer.
it was like pink. I think they were trying to do a filter or maybe something in post. They like did a dye across the top of each
Yeah.
because like maybe they were. It was a lot of like night day, kind of giving us this idea they're traveling for a long time, and then like dusk maybe,
Hmm.
and maybe that was supposed to be dusk, but it just was really offsetting. I was like, "What's going on?" I was focusing more on the pink on the top of my screen than I was anything else because it would be there, then it wouldn't, and then it would be there.
Hmm.
It
Yeah,
is,
the orange or pink at the top, for me especially, it made me think of when you'd be watching like a beat up VHS or something. I did not realize that that could have been intentional until I saw your note and I was like, oh, that's probably what they were going for.
yeah. Well,
Yeah,
I thought the same thing at first, though. I was like, "What's wrong with this fucking scene?"
right, exactly. Yeah. I feel like the stuff at night's a little more forgivable because it's dark anyway. I don't know.
Yeah. So we've only seen Michelle Pfeiffer once, and she barely said anything to Philippe.
Mm-hmm.
and she's in this like cowl. You only see her eyes and a
Mm-hmm.
little bit of her face. The next time we see her, she like reminds Philippe that it's her. I
Mm-hmm.
am I'm the bird lady,
Right.
cuckoo cuckoo, and she like reveals she uncloaks her head and
Yeah.
like for a fuller look, to like instill trust in Philippe.
Mm-hmm.
And I totally forgot she has like 80s chopped hair.
Yeah.
It surprised me for two reasons. One, it just didn't fit mentally with what I think her hair would have been in 1455 France, I guess.
Sure. Yeah.
But also like it was styled and it was
Mm-hmm.
giving me a lot of Meg Ryan hair.
Yeah, definitely Meg Ryan vibes. We will see later that Navarre is also surprised by her hair.
I don't even remember that part, so I can't wait till we get there.
Yeah. Spoiler alert. So again, I have in my notes, Philippe is not great at not getting caught because, he leaves again while Navarre is in his wolf form, runs right into the guards, has to get saved from Navarre again. At this point, I was kind of wondering if this movie was just him running away, has to fight the guards, Navarre saves him, like repeat this for a few times across the countryside, which
Hmm.
isn't like necessarily entirely wrong.
No.
But this is where the hawk gets injured, gets shot with an arrow.
Yeah, I didn't see that coming and I was surprised. And I was like, no! Like out loud. I was very surprised that we injured Hawk form of Pfeiffer.
Yeah, still wasn't really sure what I was thinking here. I was just like, well, there's no way that this is the last of her in this movie because she's on the poster. So,
And it's been like 20 minutes.
well, yeah, that too. But yeah, I wrote in my notes they got the hawk and they got Navarre. Almost looks like in the same kind of place. I don't know if that was on purpose. Navarre tells Philippe to find help, and I was like, for what? Is there like a vet you're gonna go to? I was like, well, because he doesn't tell him to do anything, he just like find help. Like, okay. Then he kind of explains it a little more. I wrote serious question, why isn't Navarre going himself? I guess I still don't understand why not.
I assume it's because
Fight
he's
off the guards, maybe.
injured and fighting off the guards.
Okay. So this is one of the few times we see Philippe actually riding a horse, because usually it's Navarre. Matthew Broderick had literally never ridden a horse before filming this movie. And Rutger Hauer, after Matthew Broderick had gotten on it, he slapped the horse on the rear and it took off. And production literally had to drive jeeps like into the woods to catch up with them and find them. And I think and Matthew Broderick also had no idea like how to stop it or what he was doing, and they found them, they said, half a mile away from that field.
Nice.
So yeah.
Hmm.
Also have a note. What is this music while Philippe is writing? So upbeat considering the situation.
It's bad. The music's bad.
Yep.
Doesn't make sense. Like he's
Do
holding,
do 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 do
yeah,
do do. Yeah.
and he's holding a bird with an arrow sticking out of it,
Yep.
wrapped up like a baby.
Yep.
But Navarre tells him to go to this old castle, find a monk, blah 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 blah. He'll know what to do. He gets there and he's yelling. He's like, "Hey, help me!" And the guy's like, "Go away! I'm drunk. Hey, help me! I got this bird." He's like, "Oh, good, you brought me some food. We cannot eat this bird." And the monk goes, "Is it Lent already?"
Yeah.
And I was like, "What the fuck is going on here?"
I thought that was so funny the way he's like, "Oh God, is it Lent?" So we immediately know this guy's gonna be some comic relief, as if he
Mm-hmm.
really needed it. I don't know. Maybe they thought it was gonna be like really serious up until now.
Well, I mean, the Ladyhawke is injured. This is some serious business.
They didn't know I was gonna have so many questions about that. Don't laugh at me about the random old guy.
Uh,
You're, you're making it worse.
I did nothing. I didn't even do anything. Making fun of some poor people living in the woods.
Well, like, what are they
Except
doing? They're just like burning shit. Okay,
that's what they're
anyway.
doing.
Yes.
Speaking of all your questions, I have a question.
Yeah.
The scene where the monk is trying to take care of Michelle Pfeiffer, and she's got the arrow in her upper shoulder area. They like cut in between the bishop sleeping, and he's like tossing in his bed. Looks like he's in a lot of pain. Can he also feel Ladyhawke's pain? Like, what's, or is it just he's having a nightmare and the cutting makes it look like he can feel her pain? Because I didn't catch that. That was weird to me.
So I thought so at first, like just from the, like you said, from this scene, from the way they cut it, that he could feel things that she was feeling or something, like they were somehow connected. I think having seen the whole movie, it was just him maybe having a dream about like this horrible, thing he did. But it, again, visual cues, like this makes it look like they are connected in that way.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. I was very confused.
Yes. So yeah, so this is where we get the big long scene about where Drunk Monk, because I'm Imperious, I think is his name.
Imperious,
I
yeah.
went with Drunk Monk because you called him that, and I'm like, that rhymes. That's fine. He tells Philippe this whole story about the curse and a confessor that betrayed Isabeau and Navarre to the bishop who was in love with Isabeau.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
And now they're a hawk and a wolf forever and ever.
mm-hmm. Yeah,
Yep.
for as long as they both shall live. Yeah.
Yes.
Spoiler alert, it was this guy. This guy fucked up.
Yeah, so I did not get that. Basically, the way we find out as an audience is Philippe comes in later and is like, does she know it's you who betrayed them? And I was like, well, that's kind of anticlimactic.
Yeah, there could have been a better way. I do like what I called a I called it a good drunk monk campfire story. I like how it's told, and I like that we don't get that it's him that was the confessor
Hmm.
slash confessee.
Yeah.
I thought that was good, but the reveal was like very much a band aid. Like this, because how does Philippe know? He even has to
Hmm.
put something together. Maybe the way Navarre trusts him,
Hmm.
because like why does this guy know about those two? How come it's the only other person Philippe has met in his
Who,
crusade
like,
so far that isn't
yeah.
trying to kill him?
Hmm.
So maybe he put the pieces together, but yeah, it could have been a little bit revealed differently, I think. But the story time I liked, it was pretty intense as far as atmosphere. I don't remember the music sticking out, so that's probably good. I don't know, why does this guy know magic? What the hell's going on here?
I don't know. You're just going to have to go with it, I think.
All right, well, I did. I was just
Hmm.
now out loud thinking like, why does this priest know magic?
Speaking of going with it, we
Uh-oh.
get a little scene between this with the bishop talking to, I guess, a hunter. I don't know what else to call him. But
Dr. Octavius, yes.
yeah, he's telling this guy to go kill a wolf, and this hunter's like, I can't do that. There are wolves everywhere, and like, I can just kill every wolf I see. And the bishop says, find her and you'll find the wolf I want, the wolf who loves her. And the hunter looks so confused, which, like, same, like, I get it. But also, I half expected the bishop to be like, look, just go with me on this. Like, trust me.
Well, the scene before where Matthew Broderick runs into the guards again and Hawk gets injured,
Hmm.
the bishop's telling the guards to kill them, but don't hurt the hawk. Now he's
Mm.
like, give me the wolf. Like, it's make up your mind, dude. Come on.
Yeah. Yeah. And we should point out that the bishop does tell the hunter that the woman's name is Isabeau. That's important.
Yeah, he does tell them that, yeah.
Hmm.
Can't remember the actor's name who plays the hunter slash Dr. Octavius in Spider Man 2. But
Alfred
they,
Molina.
yeah, that guy.
Yeah.
Man, they gave him like a great unibrow in this role. He looks like a caveman of some sorts. What is going on here?
I did not realize this was Alfred Molina,
The eyes.
which was shocking to me later because actually I love Alfred Molina because of the movie Frida, and I love seeing him in things. I feel like he's one of those actors that can like do anything.
Yeah.
And I even saw your note about Doc Ock, and like obviously I know he was Doc Ock, but I was like, what is he talking about? And I just like skipped past that. And then at the end in my notes, I was like, what the fuck? Alfred Molina was in this?
Pay attention to my notes, bro. You gotta be good at my game.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So Drunk Monk has figured out that, to your note, basically sounds like an eclipse is going to happen. He doesn't call it an eclipse, but if during the eclipse, Isabeau and Navarre can be in front of the bishop at the same time, the curse will break because they will both be human at this point. I believe this is when the guards come by looking for Philippe and or Isabeau.
All of them, I think. Who
Yeah.
knows? Yeah, I think the guards are looking for Philippe and the hawk
Okay.
slash lady, and then the hunters looking for the wolf slash Isabeau.
Okay.
Bishop's covering a lot of ground here. I mean, it makes
Yeah.
sense. I get his tactics here. But yeah, the guards make it to the castle, and they're shouting up, and they're like, "Oh yeah, we're coming on cue from the bishop." And Drunk Monk's like, "I've met the bishops, and you, sir, look nothing like him."
Yeah, I
And they're
like
like,
that
"All
a
right, we're
lot.
gonna raid the castle anyways." And he like kind of lets him in. He steps aside, and one guy falls through a bridge. Another guy, rock falls on him or something, and he's like very playful about it. Like, "Oh, I forgot to tell you, don't step in the middle of the bridge." Ha ha. And
Yeah.
every time something breaks, he's just like gleefully tiptoeing around. At
Hmm.
one point, he yells to someone else who got hurt, "I'm a monk, not an architect."
Yeah,
I
I
felt
liked
like
that
this
a lot.
dude,
Just like plain stupid the whole time.
right? Yeah,
Yeah.
but he clearly home alone his castle.
Yeah, exactly. So no, I really enjoyed this. They think he's in like just a drunk idiot, and like you said, he definitely home alone his castle. However, it ends with Philippe taking Isabeau up to the very top of this turret. Is that the right word? Or
Turret,
tower? I don't
spire,
know. Yeah.
tower.
They're like on the roof, basically. And Philippe thinks he can stop the guard from following them by like pushing down on the door with his body because the door is like in the surface of the roof.
Mhm.
And the guard just ends up like stabbing upward with his sword, which is the exact same thing we saw when he was trying to run away from them at the brewery, for lack of a better term. And then when the guard finally pushes the door open, Philippe flies backwards and knocks Isabeau off of the castle. She is
Yep.
falling. A very well timed sunrise happens, and she turns into a hawk while she is falling.
Great editing here.
Yep. And
It was very hard to watch.
I know. I know.
So Michelle Pfeiffer is like flailing around, but like you
Yep.
only see like weird parts of her, like arms, her hair, her eyes, all slow
Yeah.
mo, overlaid with equally bad hawk images over her.
Mm-hmm.
We get it; she's transforming, but like this took way too long. I think like it was fine; it wasn't that horrible. What was horrible is it just took forever.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm like, okay, we get it. 1985, we're not gonna just like CGI her into a hawk, but
Yeah.
we
It
get
still
we get it.
wasn't great. But
Yeah.
you're right. It took forever. They were really
Hmm.
like, let's show off our special effects.
I felt like she fell slash was changing for a very long time. Like I'm like she should have just hit the ground by now.
Right. Yeah.
So because of that, the guard is asking Philippe where the woman was. And he's like, "Where's the woman? She flew away." They're
I
like
did think
accusing
that
him.
was good. Yeah.
Yeah, and the whole time he's like trying not to lie. He keeps talking to God, trying to do the right thing,
Like he'll
and
change his ways. Yeah.
yeah, and the guard's trying to. He's like hiding on like a spout, like he's just out of reach from the top of
Mm-hmm.
this tower, and the guy's trying to like get him. He's pulling a sword out. He's like, "God, I've told the truth. I shouldn't be punished."
Mm-hmm.
And that's when Navarre shoots him with a crossbow or something, and
Yeah.
he
From
dies.
further
He's like, "Oh,
away.
thank you, Lord. I told the truth. It paid off."
Yeah. He was like, thank you. I see that now.
Yeah.
Um, I also like the way he waves at Navarre. Like Navarre's just killed a man, and Philippe's waving at him like, "Hey, bud." And then Navarre is this extreme upward shot to be like, "Yes, he's a hero. We get it."
Hmm.
But yeah, so this is also when So this is when number one, drunk monk tells Navarre how to break the curse with the eclipse.
Yep.
Navarre thinks he's crazy because he's, I don't know, never heard of an eclipse, I guess. And then two, this is when we start calling the hawk Ladyhawke, because like you
Hmm.
mentioned at some point, Philippe comes up with that name for her.
Yeah. They Philippe and Isabeau are starting to be buds, and
Mhm.
in Navarre's and everyone else's, I get their point of view. What the monk says, how he's described how to break the curse, it's not just like, hey, by the way, it's an eclipse. I don't know, it's 1455. What's that? He says, when night and day become one, or
Mm-hmm.
something poetic and confusing all at the same time.
Right.
They're like, that can never happen, you drunk monk.
Yeah.
Be gone with you. Have your
Yes.
ale.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, I think that's kind of the conversation. He's like, I'm not drunk, damn it. Like he like accuses him of
Yeah.
being he's like, no, this is God told me this. It was a dream.
Right. I guess to be fair to Navarre, if you didn't know an eclipse was a thing, he does sound kind of crazy. But this was something that really bothered me for the rest of the movie because I didn't understand why Navarre was so hesitant to even like try. Um
Right.
I guess I feel like if you're in a world where things can happen like this curse, why not at least try the crazy sounding thing?
Yeah.
Because Navarre seems hell bent on killing the bishop, I guess partially for revenge, partially to get that like jewel, like earn this jewel to put in his sword.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
but he's so convinced that like this is the right time to kill the bishop and he'll like kind of earn this like stature that his generations of his family have had that have passed on this sword. I guess I'm thinking, well, you could both try the monk's plan, and if it doesn't work, you could still kill the bishop. Like, I guess I'm just not.
That's exactly what I thought.
Yeah, I
I
guess
think
because
even
then.
Philip says something like that too, because he's like, we're
Hmm.
gonna go kill him tomorrow. And so eventually like everyone starts coming around to the monk's idea
Hmm.
besides
Navarre, yeah.
our hero, right?
Yeah.
Because they kind of like gang up on him during the day. We realize that the monk has been following him. He's got this like little horse and buggy, and for some reason, he just reminds me of a brown wizard from Lord of the Rings. I don't know,
I can
just
see it.
drunk and homeless. And
Yeah.
but anyways, Philippe suggests that they listen to the monk. The monk's there. He's like, "Yeah, you should listen to me." The hawk somehow is in agreement. She's like on Philippe's shoulder or arm or something. Like she came to him instead of Navarre.
Hmm.
And he gets really frustrated. He's like, "You do whatever you want. I'm going to kill the priest." And the monk's like, "It's literally one more day. Just
Yes.
wait. If it
Yes.
doesn't work, kill the priest." He's
Yeah.
ruining his own future.
Between that, we have this little bit where the hunter catches up with Philippe and Isabeau. And
Yes.
if Philippe wouldn't be shouting her name in public, the hunter would have never known that was Isabeau.
Right.
And he just keeps saying her damn name. And then, even after the hunter leaves, she decides to follow him because she's concerned for Navarre's safety while he's in his wolf form. Philippe is still just shouting her name. And, like,
Yes.
to be fair, other people could be named Isabeau, whatever. But this guy knows he
But
has his mark. Yeah.
he's
So,
looking for an Isabeau specifically.
right. Leads us into that scene in the forest where he's setting like bear traps, I guess. Is that what you would call them?
Yeah.
It okay. I was so confused by this at first because you see him setting one trap and you see him very obviously covering it with leaves, but then you get all
Hmm.
these other shots of other traps, like close-ups, and I didn't understand at first that these were just multiple traps because they made such a big deal to show him hiding the one and then
Yeah.
like the others are not hidden at all.
No.
Just again, just these decisions on what to focus on, I feel like I wasn't sure sometimes what I was supposed to think or like what is actually going on here. And it ends up that she looks like she's about to stab him from behind. Navarre, as a wolf, stops her. And I really thought because he stops her and she turns around, he had a clear shot. He could have gotten her. because now she's
Mm-hmm.
distracted by the wolf. And instead of anyone taking any action, he somehow falls into the bear trap himself.
The hunter? Is that
Yes.
what you mean? Yeah. No, so wait, hold on. They're in the barn dancing,
Mm-hmm.
and then they go to get some food at the inn. This is the atmosphere music that I love so much.
Yes.
And then just like outside the door, the hunter is there in the rain, and he's got pelts on his horse. And Isabeau screams because they all look dark because they're wet. And
Mm-hmm.
fucking Matthew Broderick's like, Isabeau, calm down. It's not your wolf. And I'm like, oh
Yeah.
my god.
Mm-hmm.
And the hunter's like, ha ha, you idiots. And then he leaves. The hunter leaves, which I thought
Yeah.
was weird.
I took it as he left because he knew the wolf would be nearby
Nearby,
because she's
yeah,
there. Yeah. And then he's setting the traps for the wolf, not assuming like she's going to be part of it.
yeah. So I think then like they do the whole scene you just described, but I think another wolf gets in a trap because like you see Isabeau with a knife
Mm-hmm.
and she's like sneaking up on him, but then the hunter comes from behind her, like he like flanked her somehow, and then a brown wolf gets in a trap,
Mm-hmm.
and she's like all sad, and it's still sad, but I think she like tries to get the wolf to get free,
Mm-hmm.
and the hunter's like scaring her. He's throwing rocks at his own trap, so she's standing in the middle of this field or part of the woods, and he's like throwing rocks at these traps, like snap, 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 and she's like freaking out.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's when Navarre as a wolf comes in. I think he like jumps on the dude's chest and knocks him over,
Mm-hmm.
and his head goes into a bear trap.
Yeah.
It was all very fast and confusing and shot entirely in the dark.
Yeah. It was very dark.
Does that
What
sound
is
right?
Sure. I don't know.
The homeless people weren't there anymore.
Well, if they had been, we'd have fires and could
The
see.
sea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's all they do. They build fires. Well, I mean, you tell me.
I don't know. The important part is Doc Ock. He dies by you live by the sword, you die by the sword. In this case, the sword is a bear trap.
Yeah. Yeah, so that was pretty gruesome, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
What a way to go. Okay, so after the hunter dies in the woods, the next day, that's where we see Ladyhawke as a hawk fly straight to Philippe and not Navarre, and he starts getting really jealous. And it's really awkward to me because
Mm-hmm.
Navarre even said he's like keeping Philippe around partially because he can like send messages back and forth between the two of them and he can take care of Isabeau at night, which is like that's what was going on in the first place in the stable or the barn. It was bad weather and he said, "Here, go find shelter, take care of Isabeau." Now he's getting all jealous. While trying to calm him down, Philippe says, "I can't say I haven't had my fantasies." How awkward.
Awkward. Yeah. It's like, oh no, we haven't done anything. We haven't done anything, I swear. And he's like,
I
but
fantasize
I
about it.
thought about it. Like, that doesn't
Mhm.
help, bro. That's
Correct.
I think this is what sends him off his temper tantrum, and he's like, I'm gonna kill the priest now, because F this.
Yep. Yep. I wrote awesome 80s music again when Navarre rides away. And Philippe says, "I should have known better. Every happy moment in my life has come from lying."
Right.
He
But
also, like,
so was he
it's not like Navarre asked him straight up, "Do you
Mhm.
fantasize about my girlfriend?" Like, he
Right.
didn't have to volunteer that information.
Correct.
Yep. This brings us to a whole string of events that I don't fully understand. It's nighttime, Isabeau's back, Drunk Monk and Philippe are like they're all in the icy part again, whatever, up in the
Yeah.
mountains.
Winter
They're
again,
in
yeah.
winter again.
Yeah.
They're like digging a hole that I assume is to trap Navarre somehow.
Yes.
But instead, when they're luring him to the trap in his wolf form, he falls through the ice into like the freezing water.
Hmm.
Philippe tries to save him and is getting attacked by the wolf while trying to save him.
I don't know if he's getting attacked by the wolf. I just think the
Or the
wolf
wolf is
is
panicking.
freaking
Okay.
out as one would, yeah.
Yeah. I guess I'm confused about what was supposed to happen. I guess the wolf hopefully would have just fallen into that hole they dug.
Yeah, I don't know why they're trying to do this. I feel like they're trying to delay him from going to kill the priest so they can try the drunk monk's plan. And he
Mm-hmm.
also just did storm off, but
Yeah.
he always comes back to her. So I think they're like they went the other direction to like lure him further away from the
From
bishop.
Aquila or whatever. Yeah,
But I
maybe.
don't know why there was a hole. And they end up like sleeping in it, and there's like a sad part where it's at right like as the sun is going down or coming up from the
Yes.
it's going on. So it's right when the sun's going down, and the last little bit, and they're both human for like a second, and they go to touch each other's hands, and again we have more of that over
Mm-hmm.
editing and
Mm-hmm. The very long
um
transition.
yeah, very long
No,
transitions. The
it's
longest.
sunrise, right? The sun's coming up because he's turning back into a human.
Oh, what? Yeah,
We
something
will
like that.
we will never get
We're
this
getting
right. It's okay.
yeah, eternally confused. Sure.
Yes.
Um, Something's happening with the sun, and they're turning into the other form, but for a second they're not, and they're human, and it's very sad and touching, but
Mm-hmm.
also done in a way where it's annoying because of the overdubbed footage. And
Yeah,
but then he's like naked in his hole, and he's sad.
I know. Also, it must be freezing.
Yes.
So anyway, this is when we finally get back to Aquila,
Yeah.
but it's like
They're
night
playing.
again, and they sneak in
Yeah.
with the wolf.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It just was morning, and then they get there, and it's night, and the wolf's like, I think Drunk Monk is posing as a poacher because
Mm-hmm.
the wolf is in like a little cage on the cart.
Yeah.
And then Matthew Broderick is going back to prison, like The Rock now. So he's Shawshank Redemption, but now he's The Rock. He's breaking back into prison. This whole part's confusing. They have too many plans, and none of them are working.
So the guard lets them go because he is told that the wolf is a gift for the bishop's like birthday party or whatever.
Mm,
And the guard's like, "Oh, well, I've never killed a wolf." And Drunk Monk's like, "Oh, the bishop's never killed one either. I'm sure he'll understand if you do it for him." And then the guy lets him go. Philippe's breaking back into the prison, to your point. I guess this whole thing with the cart was just them getting back into the city,
yeah.
not like the castle. I guess I forgot about the concept of walled cities. Okay, I got confused at this because I understand Philippe is breaking into the church, like going back up to the sewer system, breaking in. Navarre tells Drunk Monk, if Philippe has done his job, I can kill the bishop now or never. So Philippe's job is just to let him in, like unlock the cathedral doors, I guess. But Navarre says if the bells toll, it means he's failed in killing the bishop, and Drunk Monk should kill Isabeau so she doesn't have to like live on without Navarre in this half-life. I don't get the thing with the bells.
Didn't understand the bells.
Okay.
I don't know, like, is there a time limit on killing this bishop for Navarre? Like, mass starts at noon. If I'm not killing him by noon 01,
Well,
I
that's
failed.
yeah, like I took that as if the bells ring, it's just the regular end of mass or something.
Sure.
Yeah, okay. I'm glad you were confused by this too.
The bells part, like, it just all it did was it was a catalyst for us to be stressed about hearing the bells. We see
Hmm.
Drunk Monk up in a tower somewhere, and he's holding this bird with like a
With a
knife to
knife.
it.
Hmm.
He's like, I can't do it. He's like, you got to, because she can't live without me.
Yeah.
Cool your jets, Navarre. Cool your jets.
Yeah. Yeah, really bizarre he just made this decision for her.
Yeah, as she can't say anything in her hawk form.
Right. But the breaking into the church part at least works out. Philippe unlatches the doors. Navarre bursts in, and you can definitely see the dressage horse coming out here because that horse is prancing into this hall.
Yeah, he making sure everyone knows he's here.
Yes. And I guess this is the helmet that Kurt Russell wouldn't wear.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, it is kind of bizarre looking, but also it fits. Like, it makes sense.
Yeah.
And he's not wearing it very long, Kurt.
No, he is not. Because he definitely throws it to the side at one point, and I'm sure that's partially so we can have the main actor's face in full view for like the big ending. I also thought this was interesting color theory because Navarre is wearing all black, he's on a black horse, the main, I guess it's the captain of the guards that he fights with the most or for the longest, is all in white on a white horse. And usually it's the opposite.
Yep, yep. Well, he's also Navarre's also kind of like an outsider, a
Right.
rebel, whatever you want to call it. They're in a church.
Yes.
Um,
And I understand the
Everyone else,
white matching the church and the bishop and everything.
yeah,
I get that.
yeah.
Hmm.
But it is kind of cool.
Hmm. I did not understand the point of Philippe lying to Navarre saying his family's sword has been lost when he broke through the ice. I don't know if
Yeah.
they thought this would stop him from just killing the bishop because that was one of the reasons was to, use that sword.
Mhm.
Because we see later, we assume as a viewer that it's really gone. We see later that Philippe runs out of the church and gets it from a hiding spot and brings it back. But then even when he brings it back and like lugs it at Navarre during a fight, it's not like Navarre even picks it up right away.
No.
So I don't know.
I think you might be onto something where they were trying to delay him some more. Like, oh, the sword's gone, so I guess we have to wait an extra day to find it to see when the sun and the moon are out at the same time.
Mm,
Ah, I'll kill him some other way. Okay, this guy's
yep.
not catching on here.
You made a very good point about this whole fight ending in general.
It's just silly. There's this huge cathedral, and this guy burst in with a show horse, clip clopping around. He fights a couple guards. He gets into a longer fight with the head guardsman, the captain.
Hmm.
Meanwhile, church is in session, or was supposed to be, and like everyone's standing on the sides of the church just watching. No one's doing anything. I think there are other guards, other priests. I don't know.
Yeah.
Easily can just swarm the man in black and take his
There are
father's
definite
sword.
Yeah, there are definitely other guards because we see them pop out one by one to try
Yeah.
to stop him. So, yes, it was very much that, well, of course he's successful because they're fighting him one at a time. But
Hmm.
also, yes, the rest of the people in the church are literally just standing there watching. No one's even really reacting that much. So apparently we weren't giving any direction to these extras. And then even the bishop is just standing there. And
Standing there.
I took some of it to mean that he probably feels like his guards are going to, come through and protect him. But really, he has very little reaction to any of it.
Yeah. If it were me, I'd like, okay, he's busy. I'm gonna sneak out the back door.
Exactly. Especially when I kept waiting for him to slip out. And then, especially when Isabeau shows up and he realizes he can't look at them, he just stays there and
Yeah.
like covers his head like a child.
Yeah.
I don't
It's
know.
yeah.
But this is also before Isabeau shows up when we see the bells toll. This is also where I was confused because there's a guard up there, and I was under the impression that he was going to use these ropes to like slide down to that
Yep.
floor to get at
Same.
Navarre. Okay. Well, Navarre shoots him. And now I don't know if he was shooting him just to take out another guard or to stop him from ringing the bells. But the problem here is that the way the man falls along the rope, he rings the bells anyway.
Hmm.
So then Navarre is like, oh no, Drunk Monk's gonna kill Isabeau, and he's convinced that she's dead now.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
All that was a thing. Hmm. Another guard goes up there to ring the bells too, though. The one guy falls, and another
Oh,
guy's like
okay.
goes to ring it too. It's like, what? Why are you focused on these bells? I don't
Right.
understand. There's a fight breaking out in church, and we're like, oh, gotta ring them bells though, man. Service
Unless
is
the
about to
bells were
start.
like a warning, but I thought the bells were for church because
They didn't say.
I get that. Like, yeah, he didn't explicitly say that. He just says, if the bells ring, I failed. But it's like he hasn't failed, he just hasn't gotten to the bishop yet.
Right.
So, I don't know. But then, like, way back toward the beginning, when Navarre is talking to Philippe, he says, when I heard the warning bells, in town go off, I knew this was like my time. So like they were sounding the bells, I assume because Philippe escaped. But then
Hmm.
like you had said they don't want to advertise that someone escaped because that's like the unescapable prison.
Right.
None of this makes sense.
No.
Okay. Glad you're feeling the same way I am, at least. Basically, at the end, Navarre defeats every one of the guards. He's
Hmm.
face to face with the bishop. The bishop's like, "No, you can't kill me because then, you'll never break the curse." So maybe that's why the bishop was like feeling comfy and didn't feel like he had to run away.
Sure.
But then when Navarre says that Isabeau is dead, you see the bishop's face change and is like, "Oh shit." But then as Navarre is about to stab the bishop, Isabeau shows up, says his name. Again, with him being distracted at that moment, Navarre, I thought the bishop was going to take that opportunity to like ram him with something or because he,
Sure.
he had like a
Yeah.
staff. He had
Yeah.
things that were not weapons but could be used as weapons. Everyone
Yeah.
just stands there.
Everyone just stands there.
Okay.
Well, at some point, the eclipse starts to happen, and they're all looking out one of the church windows,
Uh-huh.
kind of amazed, like, "Whoa, what's going on here?"
That's
So
true.
I kind of get some of that, some
Yes.
looky loos. Yeah. Then he just starts yelling at the bishop to look at them, and
Yes.
then
So,
there's a moment of relief between the two of them,
mhm.
and then the bishop tries to attack.
Okay, well, first, Drunk Monk just declares the curse broken.
Well, yeah.
I was so underwhelmed by this because they weren't even standing next to each other, Isabeau and Navarre,
No.
because I thought it was something where they had to be standing like with each other and you'd
Mm,
kind of see something like how when they change into their animal forms there would be some golden ripples sometimes. I thought we'd see something like that.
something, yeah.
Literally nothing. There was no visual for any of this. The monk just says to Philippe, "Oh, okay, the curse is broken." And Navarre and Isabeau aren't even standing like near each other yet.
No. She's in the entry. She's at under the arc of the door. Like she just
Mm-hmm.
burst in. He's like, "Oh, you're not dead.
And you cut
Thank
your
God no one
hair.
listens to me."
Yeah. So totally underwhelmed by the breaking of this curse, first of all, because they weren't even like
Mm,
they weren't a unit. It didn't feel like they were a unit. It didn't feel like anything even happened. Like I said, no visual to this at all. Drunk Monk has to tell us. And then on top of it, after they finally defeat the bishop, Navarre goes to her and is just like, "You cut your hair. I love you so much." And that's pretty much it.
yeah.
Hmm.
And we're like, she had long hair. That was like, we don't need that line. We didn't know she had long hair. We don't know she cut her hair. It's
Yep.
just there. It's what it looks like.
Maybe it was for all the viewers like you who are like, "Why does she look like Meg Ryan?" Navarre
That
is
she
also
just,
like, "Why do you look like Meg
yeah.
Ryan?"
Well, it's just for the movie. Like, okay, it
Yeah.
would have been unless there's like a scene we now because she's got the short hair from the get go. Because I say, what if like when they were in the inn, she got a haircut for some reason? I don't know why, but like it doesn't make sense for her to. I don't know, whatever. Uh, So now the bishop is jealous, and somehow Ladyhawke is between her and Navarre.
Oh,
Like
because
she
she
wasn't.
she goes to like give something back to the bishop. She's holding something, or I think it's like the what is it called? Like the little like the blindfold thing they put on the hawk.
Oh
I think
yeah,
that's
yeah,
what it's
yeah.
supposed to be, but I honestly could not tell.
I
So the
think
whole
you're right.
time I'm just like confused
Hmm.
and underwhelmed.
Hmm.
But yes, I think she approaches the bishop and gives him that.
It's kind of like a
But
last kind of middle finger in a way.
yeah,
Like, ha, I don't need this anymore, you swine, or whatever.
yes,
I don't know.
your
So
pig
then her back
fiance.
is turned, and he like picks up the giant staff, which I think has a blade in the bottom. They show him doing something with it
Something,
earlier.
yeah.
No one cares. And they're like, behind you. And then he throws his family sword through the priest.
Hmm.
So,
Yep. Yeah, and They make sure to let Philippe know he's a really good friend before he leaves. They thank Drunk Monk, and then they just kind of twirl each other around in the middle of the church. Again, everyone is still just standing on the sides.
No one moves the entire time. Like
No.
someone just, a few people just died. An
Mm-hmm.
eclipse happens. Michelle Pfeiffer cut her hair. I, no one
No
does
reaction.
anything. And like Philippe and Drunk Monk just like, we'll see ourselves out. Thank you.
Yeah. And they joke about the monk jokes to Philippe that he better see him at the pearly gates. And Philippe does have a good joke about like, even if I don't get into heaven, I'll like pick my way in or whatever.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, just I was so underwhelmed by this whole ending.
Which
Just
also took a while.
it took a while, but it also felt like nothing really happened.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
It's that's all I got, man. I don't.
Yeah, I was gonna say
It
this is
was
also when I found out that Alfred Molina was in the movie. Okay, so it grossed 18.4 million against a 20 million budget. So didn't even recoup its
oh.
cost. Yeah, poor Ladyhawke. Somehow it was nominated for Best Sound and Best Sound Effects at the Academy Awards that year.
I can't. I mean, sure. I don't know. What was
Mm.
it up against in '85? A lot of things that we'll find out.
Yeah.
But best sound and sound effects. And swords clinging against each other. I don't know.
Yeah.
Nothing about that jumps out as like, oh man, this is really good sound.
Yep.
Hmm.
Unfortunately for poor Richard Donner and the Alan Parsons Project, like I alluded to in the beginning, all the critics, if they had really strong feelings against the movie, they were all pretty much about the music and kind of what is this? What is happening? Who thought this was a good idea? For the most part, the critical response seemed to be like, oh, this is a fairly charming, fantasy fairy tale thing, whatever. But like I said, even if people did think it was fine, you know, a fun little movie, they're like, what was this music? Who let him do this? Unfortunately, that is part of Ladyhawke's legacy of having like one of the worst soundtracks of all time. A lot of my research brought up articles, I guess listicles technically, of worst soundtracks of all time, worst movie scores of all time. Do you remember this forgotten Michelle Pfeiffer movie with a horrible soundtrack? Like it was really hammered that home. Apparently at preview screenings, like again, even if people loved it, they were like, we hate the music. The music is awful. And Richard Donner refused to change it. Like they knew going into the release that the preview audiences hated the music. And he was like, no, it'll be great.
So last week
Hmm.
we mentioned there was a little behind the scenes quarrel with hiring a
Hmm.
band, right? Like,
Yes.
I wonder as we continue down this theme,
Hmm.
knowing from like this episode, like that was the thing to do in 83, 84, 85.
Yeah.
I'm curious to see what we find with these other soundtracks.
You're right. Yeah. Cause this is the second in a row they hired like a British band to do their music. The other controversy with Ladyhawke details the marketing campaign. Edward Kamara, like I said, very important to understand how he came up with this idea jogging on the roof of the YMCA, the historical references he put into it, okay? Warner Brothers insisted during its entire marketing campaign that this movie was based on, quote, a legend dating back to the 13th century from paintings on the walls of the Mosseterm Castle in the Rhine Valley to the Loup-Garou legend of France's Auvergne Forest to Rodriguez de la Fuente in Spain. Break that down for a second. The paintings on the cave walls or the paintings on the castle walls, no one ever found any evidence of that. The Loup-Garou legend is basically werewolf legend, which every society kind of has werewolf legends or some monster kind of thing like that.
Yeah.
Again, couldn't necessarily trace anything back to that, to this region of France specifically. There was no point in singling that out.
Okay.
Rodriguez de la Fuente in Spain. I don't understand what they thought they were referring to. The research that I should mention, it was research done by a film critic named Harlan Ellison for an essay collection he did detailing how movie studios sometimes lie to the consumer about what they're getting, or they'll infer things, insinuate things. I feel like we saw this with I Know What You Did Last Summer, where they were saying it was from the
Hmm.
creator of Scream or something, and it was really the screenwriter, but they got sued because people thought they were getting a Wes Craven movie. So,
Yeah.
Rodriguez de la Fuente, the only proof they found of a person by that name is actually a 20th century Spanish naturalist. So, like, a man who was alive when this movie came out.
What?
The funny thing is that if you look into his background, he did a lot of work with wolves and hawks, like migration studies. I can't remember what else, but there was specifically work he did with both species, like one at a time. And so people were like, did Warner Brothers put that in there to be funny? Like, did they know that someone would look into this eventually to try to figure out what the real legend was? And they'd find this
It has to
naturalist.
be that, right?
I mean,
Like,
that's too much of a coincidence.
also just specifically studying wolves and hawks. Like, those are
Hmm.
very specific things. It's a
Right.
very happy coincidence, I think.
Yeah, and I don't know if it came about because this naturalist, maybe he doesn't study a particular animal, he studies like migration patterns in this general area or something. But yes, there is stuff in his resume about both. However, Harlan Ellison, our film critic who wrote this book, he wrote to Edward Kamara, the original screenwriter, to be like, what's up with this legend they keep attributing Ladyhawke to? This is what Edward Kamara wrote back, and I'm just going to read his quoted letter because that'll be the easiest thing. The studio contention that Ladyhawke is based on an old legend is in fact a violation of Writers Guild rules, since it denies me full rights of authorship. The Guild undertook an action against Warner Brothers on this account, and a small amount of money was paid as compensation. Warner Brothers, or its publicity department, continues to circulate material restating the old legend story. So basically, they were taken to court over this. Again, just like I Know What You Did Last Summer, obviously much less publicized or well known. But Edward Kamara got some sort of payment because they were cutting him out of being the source of this story by marketing it this way.
So it's not a situation of not giving him credit for writing it, but not giving him credit for the idea.
Kind of, yeah. Because they made up this whole story about what Ladyhawke was based on. And if that's true, then that means that Edward Kamara, our screenwriter, didn't come up with the story and isn't
Right.
getting credited, right? He also went
Hmm.
on in that letter to reiterate that the inspiration for Philippe was Francois Villon, who we talked about in the beginning of this episode, his imprisonment by the bishop in the dungeon that I can't pronounce. We're not going to do that again. And that, he was freed by King Louis XI on his way to his coronation. He says that incident was actually used in the original story of Ladyhawke. So, again, that was how he
Okay.
originally got out of prison. So, according to the screenwriter of Ladyhawke, this was all his idea, came about from he used this actual historical account and obviously played around with it. But according to Warner Brothers, I guess to this day there is a legend out there that this is based on.
As a story, no. I mean, I don't see. I mean, I trust this guy, I guess, who's just jogging on roofs.
Yeah.
But through your research, there's a lot of like things he might have cherry picked
Mm-hmm.
through history as inspiration. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, the name Philippe was apparently a bishop's name.
All their name. Yeah.
Um,
Philippe's in
yeah,
there.
all the names
Isabeau
came from
is in
other
there.
people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I can kind of see why they would, for PR and marketing, say that,
Yeah.
because
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of factoids there that
Mm-hmm.
it seems, like I said earlier, it seems like this guy just like picked up an old college paper he wrote and
Yeah.
turned it into a script. So I can see the water being muddy there, but to just straight up say this guy didn't do it. Well, I guess I didn't say that either, just inferring that it came from a legend for the marketing purposes. It kind of leans into that
Yeah.
fantasy, whimsical, like
Yes.
they didn't make money, so clearly it didn't help. They should have done something else.
I know. Yeah, that's kind of the funny part too. And also, they were out more money because they had to pay this legal
Oh,
settlement to
right.
Edward Kamara. And then they're still running with this story of it being a legend. So it's like, I don't know what that really did for anyone.
Yeah, I think if I was marketing for this movie, I would have kind of maybe leaned into the actors,
Sure, yeah.
because Navarre is coming off of Blade Runner,
Mm-hmm.
Matthew Broderick, young upcomer,
Mm-hmm.
War Games.
Mm-hmm.
Michelle Pfeiffer was just in Scarface a year or two prior.
Yeah, I didn't realize that until I was watching some old interviews with her and Matthew Broderick that this was she had already been in Scarface. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, come on.
Mm-hmm. But unfortunately, not too much of a legacy to discuss, mostly the horrific soundtrack. But Richard Donner,
Horrific
oh,
soundtrack. It was so good.
yeah. And his marriage came out of this. So that was their
Well, that's
legacy.
good.
Yep.
Yeah. Do you think he got Alan's Parson Project to play at his wedding?
Oh man, I hope he did. If they meant so much to him that he put them
Yeah.
in this movie, come on. Apparently, Richard Donner made a movie, I want to say it was like 1997, they said, called Conspiracy Theory, and he put Ladyhawke in that movie. Like someone's watching Ladyhawke in that movie or something.
Nice.
Like this was always one of his favorite movies he ever did.
If I'm not mistaken, Conspiracy Theory, I think, stars Mel Gibson.
Potentially.
Yeah. Like I said, I was
I
scrolling
wasn't
through
familiar.
his
Mhm.
stuff and I kept seeing Mel's face on posters.
Let me look real
Mm.
quick.
While you look, I'll just continue to give you some background music.
Yeah, Julia Roberts and Mel Gibson. Hmm. So, did this movie hold up for you?
When we ask that, how do we mean? Because, I mean, from the guise of nostalgia, the back through the lens part,
Mm-hmm.
I had a good time watching it. I think the story is good.
Mm-hmm.
My wife is excited for this one. When she cast her vote, she said she like looked into the movies and this one sounded like something she would like. Again, fantasy. So she was happy that other people voted on it as well, so we could watch
Okay.
it together. I liked Matthew Broderick in it.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing not to like about Michelle Pfeiffer. She's just a hawk most of the time, so it's cool, whatever. Some of the choices, very 80s. Some of the shots, the filters, all the technical stuff, apparently the marketing, none of that
Mm-hmm.
held up for me.
Yeah.
The music was very distracting. The whole ending, like we said, was like there was no. It just ended. Like literally, the guy's like,
Yeah.
"The curse is over. Let's go, kid."
Yep. You cut
So
your
it's
hair.
like,
I love you. The end.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So like half yes, half no. I haven't seen it in such a long time, and it's probably because
Yeah.
once every 35 years is enough, I guess.
Um,
It's not a bad movie. It just it didn't age as well as, let's say, some of the other ones we've seen so far.
yes. I mean, this was my first time seeing it, but yes, there were definitely parts where did not age well very much of the time. I wouldn't say it was a bad movie, but I'm not saying it was the fantasy epic they were probably going for or hoping
I
for.
would agree.
I would have no problem if I saw this on TV or whatever, being like, yeah, let's watch Ladyhawke again. hilarious and very 80s. I'm
Hmm.
so glad that it won the poll because, like I said, I had never heard of this movie and it was amazing in a very 80s way. I wouldn't say it was bad, it just wasn't great, but it was bad in a very entertaining way.
Hmm. The parts that
Hmm.
were bad or entertaining, yeah.
Yeah. Although the ending was very frustrating.
Up until and through they go to Drunk Monk's house,
Hmm.
I really enjoyed, and then like that last third act was a little rough.
Yeah. Well, we would love to hear your thoughts on Ladyhawke as well as your own favorite movies from 1985. You can find us on Instagram at Back Through the Lens Pod and on Facebook at Back Through the Lens. You can also email us at backthroughthelenspodcast@gmail.com. If you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, please leave us a rating and review. It's the best way to support our show.
If you enjoyed our show today, please give us a like and follow for updates on new and future episodes. Our show is produced by our hosts, Rachel Campbell and myself, Joe Siomik, with additional help and support from Peter Telep of LPV Productions. Peter, Rachel, and I are also the executive producers. Our awesome logo is brought to you by Tom Faraci, and our wonderful theme song is by Matt Tarek. Thanks for listening, and please stay tuned for more trips into our movie watching past on Back Through the Lens. Besides the fact that they're all written by the same man, but whatever.
You're going to say, besides the fact they're all written by a cat.
Well, I mean, the title does kind of suggest that these stories are through the cat's eye, so
Yeah,
maybe
I don't know.
Stephen King's cat, co-author.